Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Chris, thanks for joining us today on Business Ninjas. We're excited to learn more about the company and see what you're doing to help your customers succeed. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, Jamie. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Why don't we start by just covering the basics, right? So what's the name of the company, where are you located, what's the website, all the bare bones things so people can figure out where to find you.
Sure. So the name of our company is Cybermaxx. We're a managed detection and response, our MSSP or XDR. The name's kind of changing, evolving over time in the cybersecurity realm. And our URL is cybermaxx.com. Pretty simple.
Okay. Great. All right. And maybe you can give us a little bit of bio about you and how you kind of arrived at, the arc of your career that brought you to this opportunity.
Sure. So I am lucky where I actually went to school for marketing and actually work in marketing. A lot of folks, they kind of stumble into marketing based upon pure accident. Not necessarily it was their first choice. It was actually my first choice in school to go into marketing. And so graduated in marketing from Washington State University, go Cougs, and worked for a company by the name of Vivid Learning Systems, which was then purchased by another company called the Health and Safety Institute, HSI, who they were similar SaaS kind of model, but worked my way up at the department there to senior manager of demand generation. And then we were private equity funded and owned, and a friend of mine who was the portfolio CMO of the portfolio that owned Cybermaxx thought that this opportunity would be great for me to jump over and work into a different industry. And those number of things after being in a company for the better half of your adult life, a little scared, but I've never been happier. The cybersecurity industry it's fast, it's constantly evolving, constantly changing, and there's always something new you're learning. And I'm able to apply everything I've learned over the last 17, 18 years after I've been out of college to being the new leader for the company.
That's great. Wow. And so you gave a little bit of info about the focus of the company, but I guess broadly speaking, like what's the elevator pitch for people that maybe don't know a ton about the nuances inside of cybersecurity? Like where are you guys focused? What's your core value prop?
We predominantly focused on a couple different industries, and it's really healthcare, financial services, some entertainment, insurance, specifically supporting different insurance companies from a cyber insurance standpoint. But we really cut our teeth in the healthcare industry. Nashville, where we're located, is a huge healthcare hub, and we were able to really develop some good relationships down there and cut our teeth in the healthcare industry and also the financial services, because there's a lot of financial services down in Nashville. And that's really where we have targeted and specified where we're going to work. There's a lot of other MSSPs and MDRs in the industry that go, they work in all industries. And actually, it's not good or bad if you're in all or specified, but we've just gotten really good at healthcare, financial services. But we do some a la carte. We've got vulnerability risk management, we've got a SIM, we've got EDR capabilities, and then also an MDR, XDR. Where we sit is everything's managed. So we manage it for everybody. Company could launch a VRM solution or an EDR solution on their own using CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, Tenable, Qualys. Those are some of our partners. But what we do is we've got 20 years of experience. Our SOC, and that's just how old the company is now in our SOC. And I'm actually trying to figure this out right now. It's 365 days a year, 24/7. there's a team that's literally monitoring devices and networks for our customers 24/7. It doesn't matter if it's a holiday or not. We're protecting our customers. And I want to say we've probably got between maybe 100 years experience between
Wow.
all of the SOC analysts that are in there. And so that's kind of where we have our own SOC. We have our own proprietary software that we've written, and we focus on industries that we know we've made a difference in the past, and we can make a difference with other customers that reside in those industries.
Interesting. And so how do you separate yourselves out from the rest? Is there something that you're particularly good at? You know, when you think of the wider array of the industries that you're after, is there an expertise that you develop that kind of speaks to a certain size of company or a certain configuration that you really use to separate yourselves out?
I think from like an ideal client profile persona, we try to, there's two different things. We go after a specific segment within healthcare and financial services. Typically they might be like a larger independent hospital, but then it could also be a huge like network, an IDN per se. With financial services, it ranges anywhere from assets in 500 million to 10 billion, but we found our sweet spot in there. How we differentiate ourselves is, for one, everybody there's a lot of companies that are looking for a SIM solution. Ours is predictive with the cost. We base everything on logs versus the amount of data storage that's needed.
Okay.
And so, that's one thing that we always like to lead with. It's like, listen, we count it. The bill's not going to be fluctuating month to month. It's probably, we're going to be able to tell you this is how much it's going to charge. Now that can change over time, but we'll cross that bridge in 6 months. We're like, okay, listen, you've constantly been going over this amount of logs. Either we need to not chart, follow as many logs, or we need to cut back. And so that's one thing that we lead. With everything else, really, it's our expertise. It's the people, processes, and technology that we employ to protect our services. And we think that every company is strong. What companies do in the MDR, XDR realm is extremely hard. And we're lucky enough to be one of those companies that does it very well. You don't hear about any of our clients in the news because we're making sure that we're keeping them out of the news by protecting them.
Right. Nice. And I wonder, so I kind of get the arc of the company and how it started with certain industries and kind of has expanded there. What was the COVID era like for you and for your clients? What sort of challenges did you have to navigate through that and help people succeed in that whole experience?
I'll speak as best as I can just from the collective information I've been able to gather since I've been the director of marketing for Cybermaxx, because I wasn't a part of the company when COVID was hit.
Yeah.
But I do know that we're the type of company that at the end of the day, we've got to make money. We've got shareholders, we've got profit, and we've got mouths in the forms of employees that we've got to make sure that they're feeding their families. But
right.
We're also very cognizant of the fact that during those hard times, sometimes there needs to be some grace and mercy. And we weren't giving away free services, but we were working with our clients to make sure that we could all float the same way, which was on top versus letting some of us sink. And of course we're making money.
Right.
They're sinking. That's not a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a much better approach for the long-term relationship with the clients and in the industry in general. So that's great.
And Jamie, that's really the biggest thing. We're very proud because we've got our chief customer officer, Lisa Burke. She is absolutely amazing at her job. We've got a 99% retention rate.
Wow.
We also serve over, I can't remember the exact count. We always say 1,000 plus locations that we're currently protecting on our website, but we also have an NPS score of 72. And I mean, if everybody listening knows anything about NPS, the average is actually like between 32 and 35.
Oh, geez.
And that's a normal score. And for the fact that we're 72, and that's not inflated by paying people off, or our customers are just raving fan, and it's because we don't look at them as customers. And this sounds so cliche, but we really do want to build those long-term relationships to make sure that they stay happy and we keep them as a customer.
Right. That's the best way to do it, right? It's better for everybody that way, especially with the nature of your business. And I mean, if things go wrong with what you're doing, it's going to be catastrophic for the company. So I'm sure once they find a trusted partner, they'd rather just keep it locked down and keep going, right? Why switch horses?
You absolutely nailed it. Yeah, it's and it's also, it's easier to, everybody knows this in business. It's easier to retain a customer than to go get new customers all the time. And so if you're churning a lot of customers, that's just not going to fare well for the business.
Yeah, absolutely. And what method are you using to kind of reach out to folks and let them know, what you're bringing to the table? So are there social media channels that you're more active in, or kind of what's the ethos there?
I think for us, we've, in the old days, it was always touted as if you weren't having something on Instagram, Facebook, all of the social media platforms, you were failing.
Yeah.
My philosophy is you go where your audience is.
Right.
Does the average, a chief information security officer, CISO, is he going to be wanting to get pelted with MDR ads, and is he going to follow us on Facebook? No. Really, we go all in on LinkedIn and Twitter. We go on Twitter. That's predominantly where our audience is. And when you're on LinkedIn, not only do you have the organic side of things, but you can also do the paid advertising, utilizing the organic content that you've created. Some of the other, I imagine your question probably pertains to, what SEO strategies we're doing or anything else we're using to pull in audience as well.
That or like, I would imagine in your scenario, probably word of mouth goes a long way too, right? Like the CISOs of the world are all talking to each other, and I'm sure once you establish a reputation, like, that word's going to travel. So
referral is huge for us, and it's just like you said, when you do things well and you've got this tight knit group of folks, which you're right, it's like I tell everybody on my team, there's only 1,800 independent hospitals in the United States. A lot of people would think there's more, and then you've got your roll-ups. And I explain to go, think about it. It's not like a new CISO is being born every day. So there's a finite amount of market that you can go after for these folks that are really going to be the decision makers. And so you've got to build that trust. You've got to build that awareness. And that's really what we're doing right now is a lot of trust and awareness. But it's thought leadership, content. I'm number one on content, especially from an SEO perspective, especially if you're writing a lot of good content, then you can kind of just dissect that for emails for reps, other campaigns you're building,
right.
any, maybe sales decks, anything like that, case studies, white papers.
Gotcha. And are in-person events starting to creep back into the fold? Are those viable now? Are you able to get out on the road and do that sort of thing? Is that industry starting to go that direction again?
We see that it's full steam ahead. We've been to 3 or 4 this year. I've been specifically to 1, and then I know my reps have been to 3 to 4, but it is definitely ramping up. My thought on it, and some people probably would look at me like I'm crazy, but I'm not big on events, and here's why. There's the one side where you got to do it from a brand awareness. If you've got all your competitors in a room and it's really something that's specific, maybe from a healthcare perspective, maybe the industry that you're jumping into, you probably need to have a bigger presence there. Especially like we're big in InfoSec down in Middle Tennessee. It's because it's our backyard, so we've got to show that we're there. But it's hard to show ROI on a lot of these events, and so I'm not really big on going in and spending tens of thousands of dollars on a booth and sponsorships. We will sponsor. In fact, more so, we'll send a couple reps up there and sponsor, and maybe have a suite maybe have them just
Right.
walking around, just making meetings with folks that they've been prospecting ahead of time.
Nice. Right on. Well, I'm glad it's at least in the mix again. It's good to see various options and different channels that you can reach people in. So, thanks for coming on the podcast. It's been great to learn about kind of where you've been and where you're headed, and we wish you continued success in the future.
Thanks, Jamie. I appreciate it.